Jamaica wasn't always divided into 63 political seats. That map, that number, that shape of your political voice, it was carved, not casually, but through struggle, power grabs, riots, and rising hope. Some constituencies were born in times of growth. Others were erased in times of fear. And beneath every single change lies a much deeper story of who was being heard and who was being silenced. And right now, Portmore is at the center of a political storm. It's still part of St. Catherine, but not for much longer. Plans are underway to make it Jamaica's 15th parish. But before that happens, new boundaries are being drawn. The PMP is crying foul, accusing the JLP of redesigning constituencies to lock in future wins. It's a classic Jamaican political showdown. Accusations of gerrymandering, strategic maps, and questions about fairness. And it proves this. 80 years later, constituency lines are still one of the most powerful and controversial weapons in Jamaican politics. 1944, the dawn of real representation. The story begins in 1944. For the first time in Jamaican history, every adult could vote. Universal adult suffrage wasn't just a new rule, it was a revolution. Before then, only the rich, the male, and the powerful had a say. Suddenly, over 660,000 Jamaicans could step into the polling booth. But how do you make room for that many voices? You redraw the entire island to create 32 brand new constituencies, a new political map. It sounded fair, but it wasn't. Not really. St. Andrews Central had over 28,000 voters. Trelawney Southern, just over 11,000. Equal votes, not even close. But still, it was a start. The people were finally in the picture. 1959, growth and the first big jump. 15 years later, Jamaica had grown, and so had the hunger for power. By 1959, we weren't just a colony. We were preparing for internal self-government. That meant more control, more responsibility, and more seats. So, the number jumped from 32 to 45. But not every parish was invited to the expansion party. St. Thomas, no change. Portland, still stuck at 2. But Clarendon, St. Andrew, and Kingston, they were booming, and they got more representation. You see, urban areas were exploding with people, migration, industry, opportunity. But the shift wasn't just about demographics, it was also about politics, about securing control before independence. And that's when things started heating up. 1967, independence, power, and redistribution. By 1967, Jamaica was already independent. We were our own nation now. And with sovereignty came the right and responsibility to shape our own destiny. The number of constituencies rose again, from 45 to 53. But here's where it gets emotional. Kingston, the heart of Jamaica, which once had 4 constituencies, lost a seat. St. Andrew, on the other hand, gained 2. Why would the capital lose power when its population was growing? Some say it was a technical correction, balancing numbers. Others whisper it was political. Either way, it marked a shift. Power was moving outward, to the suburbs, to new communities, to new battlegrounds. And this battle was only beginning. 1976, the age of violence and voter youth. The 1970s were not just tense, they were bloody. By 1976, Jamaica was under a state of emergency. Political violence was everywhere. Garrison politics had taken hold. And in the middle of it all, a growing, restless youth population. Just 2 years earlier, the voting age dropped from 21 to 18. Suddenly, hundreds of thousands of young Jamaicans could vote, and they were passionate. So, the map had to grow again. The number of seats reached the constitutional cap, 60, but the changes were controversial. St. Thomas lost a seat. Meanwhile, St. Andrew ballooned to 11 constituencies. Representation? Yes. But fairness? That's where the debate began to rage. You see, this isn't just about numbers. This is about how power moves. Every line on that map determines who gets a road, who gets a clinic, who gets ignored. And more than that, it determines who wins elections and who never stood a chance. So, the real question is, who draws the lines? 2011, the science of representation. Fast forward to 2011. Jamaica's democracy is maturing. Enter the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, an independent, data-driven body with one job: to make sure the constituencies are fair, balanced, and legal. They discovered that some seats had far too many voters, others, way too few. The solution? Add 3 new constituencies, 2 in St. Catherine, 1 in St. James. Now we have 63. But why 63? Why not 64? Because an even number of seats could lead to a hung parliament. No clear winner, no government. And that nearly happened before. So Jamaica made it odd. Literally. This wasn't just political, it was practical. A safeguard against chaos. The 4 forces that shaped the political map. Let's break it down. Over the past 80 years, 4 unstoppable forces have kept redrawing Jamaica's political map. 1. Population growth. From 1.2 million in 1944 to over 2.8 million today. More people equal more voices. 2. Migration patterns. Rural parishes shrank. Urban areas like Portmore, parts of St. Andrew, and Montego Bay exploded. 3. Legal limits and quotas. The Constitution and the ECJ set strict rules about how big or small a constituency can be. Fall outside the limit, you're getting redrawn. 4. Politics and stability. Every increase, every reduction carried political consequences. Some helped parties win. Some tried to prevent collapse. Behind every seat is a story of survival, strategy, and sometimes suspicion. Who holds the pen? From 1944 to 1976, changes were made by colonial orders, then by parliamentary committees. But starting in 1979, the game changed. That's when the Electoral Advisory Committee, EAC, was formed to keep the politicians out of the kitchen. Later, it became the ECJ, backed by law, backed by data, and backed by public trust. What the 63 seats say about us. Every Jamaican knows their MP. Some are visible, some are ghostly. The 63 seats we have today are a mirror of who we've become and a reminder of what we must still fix. Because representation is never static. Jamaica keeps growing. People keep moving. And justice, true political justice, means never letting the lines go stale. If this made you feel something, anger, curiosity, pride, then you're already part of the democratic fight. Let your voice be heard. Subscribe to this channel, Impacting Jamaica. Share this video with someone who needs to understand the system behind their vote. And never forget, these 63 seats belong to the people. All the people. So, anytime there's an election in Jamaica, vote if your name is on the voters list.